What would happen if you stopped forcing everything in your life right now? What if that job you're desperately chasing, that person you're trying to change, that goal you're pushing so hard to achieve, what if the secret to getting all of it was to simply stop forcing? I know what you're thinking, but if I don't push, nothing will happen. Trust me, I've been there. We all have. That's exactly why you need to hear what I'm about to share with you today. Because everything you've been taught about making things happen might be completely backwards. You see, there's an ancient wisdom that successful people throughout history have understood, but most of us have forgotten in our rush to control everything. Today, I'm going to reveal this forgotten truth to you. And once you understand it, you'll never approach life's challenges the same way again. If you've ever felt exhausted from trying too hard, frustrated because things aren't happening fast enough, or anxious about when your dreams will finally come true, this message is specifically for you. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why forcing things actually pushes them away, and how to align with a powerful universal flow that brings everything to you at the perfect time. So take a deep breath. Put aside everything you think you know about success and timing, and open your mind to a completely different way of living. What you're about to learn could be the missing piece you've been searching for. Imagine standing by a river, watching the water flow past you. It doesn't rush when you're impatient, nor does it slow down when you wish for more time. It simply flows at its own perfect pace. This is exactly how life works. Everything unfolds in its own time, regardless of our personal desires or schedules. In the ancient teachings, there's a profound understanding that nothing in our world stays the same. Everything is constantly changing, transforming, moving from one state to another. The flowers bloom and wither. The seasons shift from spring to winter. Even mountains slowly erode over time. This natural law of impermanence isn't meant to sadden us. It's meant to free us from the illusion that we can control everything. Think about a river for a moment. It never forces its way through rocks. Instead, it flows around them, finding the path of least resistance. Over time, through patience rather than force, the water shapes even the hardest stone. This is the wisdom we need to apply to our own lives. When we try to force things to happen according to our timeline, we create unnecessary suffering for ourselves. Nature itself is our greatest teacher in understanding divine timing. Have you ever watched a flower bloom? You can't make it open faster by pulling out its petals. The same goes for the changing seasons. Spring doesn't arrive early just because we're tired of winter. Everything in nature follows its own perfect rhythm, and we humans are no exception to this universal law. There are actually two types of time, chronos and kairos. Chronos is the tick-tock of the clock, the calendar dates, the deadlines we set. But kairos is different. It's the right moment, the perfect timing, where everything aligns naturally. We often get so caught up in chronos that we miss the kairos moments in our lives. Let me share a simple story that illustrates this perfectly. A farmer planted a seed and became impatient when it didn't sprout immediately. Each day, he would dig it up to check if it was growing, replanting it afterward. His neighbor, who planted the same type of seed, simply watered his plot and trusted the process. Guess whose seed never grew? The impatient farmer's constant interference prevented the natural growth cycle, while his neighbor's seed flourished in its own time. The universe operates on its own schedule, not ours. Just as we can't command the sun to rise earlier or the moon to appear when we want, we can't force life events to happen according to our personal agenda. The wisdom lies in understanding that there's a greater rhythm at work, one that considers factors beyond our limited perception. In the ancient teachings, the Buddha spoke extensively about patience and acceptance. He taught that suffering often comes from wanting things to be different from how they are. When we accept the natural flow of time and events, we align ourselves with the universe rather than fighting against it. This doesn't mean we become passive, It means we learn to work with the natural currents of life rather than against them. Remember, just as a river eventually reaches the ocean without forcing its way, everything in your life will unfold in its perfect time. The key is to trust this process, maintain your efforts without forcing outcomes, and remain open to the wisdom that each moment brings. Transformative. Now that we understand how time flows naturally, let's explore what happens when we try to swim against this current. You know that feeling when you're lying awake at 3 a.m., your mind racing about something that hasn't happened yet? That's anxiety distorting your perception of time, making minutes feel like hours and turning tomorrow's possibilities into today's nightmares. When we're anxious, time plays tricks on us. A week waiting for important news feels like a year. An hour before a crucial meeting stretches endlessly. This distorted time perception pushes us to force outcomes, believing we can speed things up if we just try harder. But here's the truth. Anxiety doesn't make time move faster. It only makes us suffer longer. The ancient teachings speak of attachment to outcomes as a primary source of human suffering. When you grip something too tightly, what happens? Your hand cramps, your muscles tense, and eventually, you might drop what you're holding altogether. The same principle applies to our desires and goals. The tighter we cling to specific outcomes, the more pain we create for ourselves. Think about relationships for a moment. Have you ever tried to force someone to love you? Pushed for commitment before they were ready? Called too many times? Texted too much? Demanded attention they weren't ready to give? What happened? They pulled away, didn't they? That's because forcing relationships creates the opposite of what we want. It builds walls instead of bridges. Let me tell you about physical and mental exhaustion. When you're constantly fighting against life's natural flow, it's like trying to swim upstream in a powerful river. Your body tenses, your mind races, your energy depletes rapidly. You wake up tired, go through your day stressed, and collapse into bed exhausted. This isn't living, it's surviving, and barely at that. Unrealistic expectations are dream killers. When you expect a flower to bloom in winter, or demand instant expertise in a skill that takes years to master, you're setting yourself up for constant disappointment. These impossible standards create a cycle of frustration where nothing ever feels good enough, fast enough, or perfect enough. Here's a paradox that might blow your mind. The harder you chase something, the faster it runs away. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. The more aggressively you pursue it, the more it eludes you. But sit quietly in the garden, and it might just land on your shoulder. Life works the same way. What you chase flees. What you attract through patience and alignment comes naturally. Let me share a story about a monk who tried to make the sun rise faster. Every morning, he would climb the highest mountain and chant, demanding the sun appear. He'd wave his arms, shout prayers, even try to pull the sun up with imaginary ropes. Other monks would start their day peacefully while he exhausted himself on the mountaintop. One day, an elder monk asked him, "Has the sun ever risen even 1 second earlier because of your efforts?" The monk realized he'd spent years fighting a battle that was never his to fight. How do you know when you're forcing something? Your body tells you first. That tight feeling in your chest, the knot in your stomach, the tension in your shoulders, these are warning signs. You'll notice you're using words like must, have to, and should constantly. You're losing sleep, snapping at loved ones, and feeling drained even after rest. When everything feels like a struggle and nothing flows easily, you're probably forcing it. Pay attention to these signs. They're not weaknesses. They're wisdom from your body and soul, telling you it's time to step back and reassess. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop pushing and start allowing. Transformative. After recognizing the dangers of forcing, we arrive at a crucial crossroads, learning to trust in something greater than our limited perspective. This trust isn't blind faith. It's a deep knowing that there's a perfect timing for everything, even when we can't see it yet. Developing faith in divine timing is like learning to trust that the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't need to understand exactly how the earth rotates or why the sun appears on the horizon. You simply trust that it will happen as it has for billions of years. This same universal intelligence that keeps planets in orbit and seasons changing is also orchestrating the events of your life. Now, here's where many people get confused. There's a huge difference between giving up and flowing with life. Giving up is dropping your paddle and letting the current take you wherever, even over a waterfall. Flowing is keeping your paddle in hand, staying alert, but working with the current instead of against it. You're still moving toward your destination, just not fighting every wave along the way. Conscious surrender isn't about becoming passive or lazy. Imagine a skilled sailor navigating the ocean. They don't control the wind or waves, but they adjust their sails, read the conditions, and work with nature's forces. They surrender to the reality of the weather while actively participating in their journey. This is conscious surrender, accepting what is while remaining engaged with life. One of the most valuable skills you can develop is knowing when to act and when to wait. Think of a surfer sitting on their board, watching the ocean. They don't paddle frantically at every ripple. They wait, observe, feel the rhythm of the waves, and when the right one comes, they paddle with perfect timing. Life requires this same discernment, knowing when to move and when to be still. Radical acceptance is perhaps the most transformative practice you can embrace. It means fully accepting this moment exactly as it is, without wishing it were different. This doesn't mean you like everything that happens or that you won't work for change. It means you stop arguing with reality. When you accept what is, you free up enormous energy that was being wasted in resistance. While waiting for future dreams to manifest, gratitude for the present becomes your anchor. Every day, even in challenging times, there are gifts to appreciate. The breath in your lungs, the food on your table, the love of friends, the lessons in difficulties. When you cultivate gratitude for what is, you create the perfect conditions for what will be. Let me tell you about the Chinese bamboo tree. When you plant its seed, you water and fertilize it for an entire year, and nothing happens. The second year, you continue caring for it, and still nothing. The third year, the fourth year, no visible growth. But in the fifth year, something amazing occurs. In just 6 weeks, the bamboo grows 90 feet tall. Was it dormant all those years? No, it was developing a root system strong enough to support its eventual height. Your dreams might be developing their roots right now. Meditation offers powerful techniques for developing trust in life's process. Try this simple practice. Sit quietly and focus on your breath. Notice how each inhale naturally leads to an exhale, without you forcing anything. Your heart beats without your control. Your body knows exactly what to do. This same intelligence that runs your body is guiding your life journey. In meditation, you learn to trust this wisdom. As you practice these principles, you'll notice a shift. Instead of feeling anxious about timing, you'll feel curious about what's unfolding. Instead of pushing against closed doors, you'll look for ones opening naturally. This isn't about perfect patience. It's about progress and learning to dance with life instead of wrestling with it. Tenter NOVAMENTVM. Now that we've learned to trust the process, it's time to recognize when we're actually aligned with life's natural rhythm. There are clear signs that tell us we're on the right path, moving with the current rather than against it. When you're aligned with perfect timing, everything feels surprisingly effortless. Doors open without you having to break them down. People appear in your life at exactly the right moment. Resources show up just when you need them. It's like catching a green light at every intersection. Not because you're lucky, but because you're moving in sync with a larger pattern. Your intuition becomes your most reliable compass for perfect timing. That gut feeling, that inner knowing, that quiet voice that says, now or not yet. These are all ways your deeper wisdom communicates with you. When you're about to send that important email, make that phone call, or take that leap, your intuition either gives you a green light that feels like expansion or a red light that feels like contraction. There's a vital difference between natural effort and excessive force. Natural effort is like rowing downstream. You're still working, but the current assists you. It feels satisfying, energizing, almost playful. Excessive force is like rowing upstream in rapids. It's exhausting, frustrating, and yields minimal progress. One leaves you feeling accomplished and energized. The other leaves you depleted and questioning everything. Life has a beautiful way of showing you which doors are meant for you. When a door opens naturally, it often happens with surprising ease. The conversation flows smoothly. The opportunity presents itself clearly. The path reveals itself step by step. It's not that there are no challenges, but even the challenges feel purposeful, like they're strengthening you rather than blocking you. The ancient principle of Wu Wei teaches us about action through non-action. This doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting in such perfect harmony with the natural order that your actions feel effortless. Like a skilled martial artist who uses an opponent's force against them, or a sailor who harnesses the wind instead of fighting it. Wu Wei is about achieving maximum effect with minimum effort. Synchronicities are the universe's way of winking at you, confirming you're on the right track. You think of someone and they call. You need specific information, and it appears in an unexpected conversation. You've been pondering a decision and suddenly see signs everywhere pointing you in one direction. These aren't mere coincidences. They're indicators that you're tuned into the right frequency. To maintain this alignment, certain daily practices can keep you connected to the natural flow. Start your morning by simply sitting quietly for a few minutes, feeling into the day's energy before rushing into action. Throughout the day, pause periodically to check in with yourself. Does this feel forced or flowing? Am I pushing or allowing? These brief check-ins recalibrate your internal compass. Conscious breathing is perhaps the simplest yet most powerful way to reconnect with natural rhythm. Your breath is always with you, always moving in perfect rhythm without your conscious control. When you feel yourself forcing or pushing, stop and take 3 conscious breaths. Notice how your breath knows exactly when to flow in and when to flow out. This simple practice immediately reconnects you to the natural flow that's always available. As you practice these principles of alignment, you'll develop a new sensitivity to energy and timing. You'll start to feel when something is ripe for action and when it needs more time to develop. You'll notice the difference between ego-driven pushing and soul-guided flowing. This isn't about perfection. It's about gradually learning to dance more gracefully with life's natural rhythms. Tenter Novomentev. Having explored the depths of natural flow and alignment, let's now discover practical ways to apply this wisdom in everyday life. These aren't just theories. They're tools you can use starting today. Setting intentions without creating pressure is an art form. Think of it like planting a flag on a distant mountain you want to reach, then enjoying the journey there. Your intention gives direction, but it doesn't demand a specific route or timeline. You might say, I intend to find meaningful work that fulfills me, rather than I must get that exact job at that specific company by next month. The first opens possibilities. The second creates stress. Understanding the difference between desire and need changes everything. Desires are like waves. They come and go, often influenced by external factors. Needs are like the ocean itself, deep, constant, essential. When you confuse the two, you create unnecessary urgency. Ask yourself, will I be okay if this doesn't happen exactly as I want? If yes, it's a desire. Treat it lightly, playfully, without the heavy energy of desperate need. Preparing the ground without forcing the harvest is how master gardeners work. They till the soil, plant seeds, water regularly, and remove weeds. But they never pull on the plants to make them grow faster. In your life, this means doing your part, learning skills, making connections, staying healthy, while trusting that results will come in their season. You're responsible for the preparation, not the timing of the outcome. Creating space for the unexpected is like leaving room in your schedule for serendipity. When every moment is planned, every outcome predetermined, there's no room for magic to enter. Leave gaps in your calendar. Take different routes sometimes. Say yes to spontaneous invitations. The universe often delivers its best gifts through channels you never expected. Mindfulness practices that reduce inner urgency are simpler than you might think. When you feel that familiar push of impatience rising, try this. Name 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. This grounds you in the present moment, where urgency cannot exist. The present moment is always peaceful. It's our thoughts about the future that create rush and pressure. Transforming impatience into curiosity is like turning poison into medicine. Instead of thinking, "Why isn't this happening yet?" ask yourself, "I wonder what's being prepared for me right now?" Or, "What might I be learning in this waiting period?" This shift changes waiting from torture to discovery. You become an explorer of time rather than its victim. Celebrating small progress along the way keeps you motivated without forcing outcomes. Did you make one positive connection today? Celebrate it. Did you learn one new thing about your craft? Acknowledge it. These small victories are like breadcrumbs leading you forward. They remind you that you're moving, even when the big breakthrough hasn't arrived yet. Mantras and affirmations can anchor you in trust when doubt creeps in. Simple phrases like, "Everything unfolds in perfect time," or "I trust the rhythm of my life," or "What's meant for me will not pass me by," can calm your anxious mind. Repeat these when you feel the urge to force. They're not magic words. They're reminders of the truth you sometimes forget. Try this powerful practice. Each morning, place your hand on your heart and say, "Today, I flow with life instead of fighting it." Each evening, reflect on moments when you allowed instead of forced. Notice how different these moments felt in your body. Over time, you'll develop a preference for the peace of allowing over the stress of forcing. Remember, these practices aren't about perfection. Some days you'll flow beautifully. Other days you'll catch yourself pushing again. That's okay. The journey itself is the destination. Each time you choose trust over force, patience over push, allowing over controlling, you're rewriting old patterns and creating a new way of being. As you implement these practical tools, you'll notice life becoming less of a struggle and more of a dance. You'll still have goals, still take action, still move toward your dreams. But you'll do it with grace, trust, and an open heart, knowing that everything truly does happen in its own perfect time. Tenter Novamentev. My friend, you've just received ancient wisdom that has the power to transform every aspect of your life. These 5 lessons about divine timing and natural flow aren't just beautiful concepts. They're practical tools that can free you from the exhausting cycle of forcing, pushing, and struggling against life's current. Remember, this journey of learning to flow with life instead of fighting it is not a one-time lesson, but a daily practice. Some days will be easier than others, and that's perfectly okay. What matters is that you now have the awareness and tools to recognize when you're forcing and the wisdom to choose a different path. If this message resonated with your heart, if you felt that familiar tug of truth in these words, then I invite you to become part of our growing community of souls who are choosing to live in harmony with life's natural rhythm. Click the subscribe button and join thousands of others who are walking this path of wisdom and inner peace. And please, don't keep this transformative message to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Perhaps a friend who's pushing too hard, a family member who's struggling with impatience, or anyone who could benefit from the peace that comes from trusting in divine timing. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give others is the reminder that they don't have to force their way through life. Together, we can create a ripple effect of consciousness, helping more people discover the freedom that comes from flowing with life instead of fighting against it. Subscribe now, share this wisdom, and let's continue this beautiful journey together. Everything happens in its own perfect time, including your decision to join our community today. Namaste.